What's going on, guys? It's SCUF, and I'm going to do a SCUF controller review for you guys here. The guys at SCUF Gaming were kind enough to send me one of their controllers to test out, play around with, and do a review on. So you guys know I'm a straight shooter. If I didn't like this product, I certainly wouldn't put it on my channel and come on here and tell you guys any different. So I'm happy to say that I really like this product, and I think that if you have the money to spend on a customized controller, it really can help your game. And if you take your gaming seriously like I do, then the investment is going to be well worth it. You're going to get your money's back many times over. And so here we go. If you want to check these guys out, visit scufgaming.com. They've got tons of different controllers. See, I went with the SCUF Elite. That is the name of this controller. And this design is just sort of it's called like a Remington finish, so it's just like a matte black sort of gun-looking finish. It's all blacked out. I decided to get the face buttons blacked out, which is an option. One of the cool things about these controllers is, you can add features or take off features. Okay, so out of the box, this is like a $110 controller. So that's a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, that's an expensive controller, but again, if you take your gaming seriously, it's really an investment that's gonna be worth it, because it's gonna last you as long as you don't rage out and throw it at the wall. This thing's gonna last you a long time. Okay, so I will say this first off: these are made from official Xbox controllers. So the big advantage out of the box for SCUF is when you put this thing in your hand, it feels like the controller that you're used to using. Okay, it's not going to feel like some new company with a different ergonomic design that they're trying to sell you on that you're going to have to train yourself to get used to. This is going to feel like the Xbox controller that you've been playing all along. It's just going to have some new features that I'll talk about in a couple seconds here. So again, this is the Elite. They've got plenty of different designs on their website. Go to SCUF Gaming, check them out. You can have blacked out buttons or not. I went with the domed sticks. So I used to use Control Freaks on my regular controller. For me personally, I found that I don't really need Control Freaks with the SCUF. Again, everybody's different. I tried it with the Control Freaks and without, and I ended up taking them off. It just felt more comfortable for me to just go with the domed sticks. And again, that's an option you can have or not have. I don't have the rumble pack in there, and I went with a wired controller. I just prefer a wired controller. I feel like I don't want any chance for any sort of latency or silliness going on with my controller, so I just play it safe and I go wired. So let's talk about what the SCUF controller actually does. The first thing we're going to talk about is these bad boys on here are called trigger stops. Okay, so when you get your SCUF controller, it's going to come with an Allen wrench, and you see these little screws here. What you're going to do is you're going to insert the Allen wrench here, and it's basically going to tighten down these buttons just the slightest bit, so that when you press them, you have the minimum amount of pressure required till you actually get a signal out of the button that you're trying to press. Okay, so there could be just barely a millisecond of you pushing it until it hits that sweet spot where it's actually going to send a signal and do what you want to do, which is ADS or fire. And with the SCUF Gaming controller, you're going to tune it so that all you got to do is really just give it the slightest little bit of pressure, and it's going to do it for you. So that's a huge advantage. Okay, it's going to give you a jump on the other guy. And with Call of Duty, it's all about connections, right? Everybody knows that. And so any advantage you can give yourself to get a jump on the next guy, whether that's by ADSing or firing on him, is going to work out for you. So you're going to win some gunfights in the long term just by being that much quicker to get your shot off or to get your aim on. Okay. The next thing that SCUF has going for it, and I don't think anybody else has anything going on like this, are these paddles on the bottom. Okay, now there is a controller, I think it's called the Animal, that's got 4 paddles, okay, which basically you can map. All right, what these things do, excuse me there, I'm getting upside down on you. You can map these face buttons here to these paddles on the back, okay, and which allows you to hold your controller as you normally would, and instead of having to take your thumb off of the stick to do one of these buttons, you've got these paddles down on the bottom. And it's so, they designed it in a really nice way, because when you hold the controller, your middle finger is sort of naturally on these paddles anyway. Like if these paddles weren't here, my fingers would still be in that spot. But as it is, if I want to use them, boom, my fingers are just right there. It's very natural. You don't have to move your hand at all, so you can keep your thumbs on the sticks where they belong, keep your focus, and press the buttons here, the paddles. So here's the thing. I do not play on tactical. I know. Here comes the hate. I know. I don't play on tactical. I know I should have switched, but honestly, I don't get enough time on the sticks where I sort of, felt like I was going to retrain myself. Okay, it takes a long time to do that sort of thing, to go from default to tactical. And I guess, you could just say I'm lazy and I didn't feel like doing it. So, most of the people would say, you should play on tactical. It reduces the panic knifing and that sort of stuff. But for me, I just learned, not to panic knife. And the biggest disadvantage for me is the drop shot. Okay. Now that's another thing that's pretty prevalent in first-person shooters. It's a strategy. It's something that the pros do. It's something that casual players are learning that they should do, because they're starting to die a lot to people who can drop shot. And that's just not something I've been able to add to my game up until I got this controller, because what it allowed me to do is map these face buttons here so that I can go to prone with this paddle here. Okay, so I didn't have to switch to tactical, but now I have the ability to do a drop shot. That's huge, guys. I know there's a ton of you guys out there who play default. You don't play tactical. You probably won't tell your friends because you'll get crap for it. But you know what? I don't care. I play on default, but now I can drop shot. I'm still in the process of learning. So this control is going to give you the ability, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have to teach yourself to use the tools that they've given you. I'm still working on being able to just naturally go prone and get the drop shot going. I use the other paddle for jump. Okay, so I have the ability to go prone and jump without ever taking my thumbs off the sticks, and that's a huge advantage. And that's really what this controller can do, that no other controller can do for you. It's why I think it's an amazing controller. I really do like the trigger stops, but at the end of the day, these paddles are what makes it special for me. And again, this controller as soon as I started using it, it just felt great. It felt natural. The control freaks didn't work out for me. They might work out for you. If you do get used to them, you just might have that much more of an edge. For me, I found I just didn't really need it, because if you get the domed sticks, you're not going to slip. It feels very secure and very solid. It's just a really smartly designed and just great controller. So this is the SCUF Elite. If you think that maybe there's, a couple things with your game that you might be able to improve, if you're just a little bit quicker here and there, the trigger stops are going to help you. If you don't have, if you play on default and you just can't get that drop shot thing going for you, this thing can help you there too. And again, they do have a more expensive model that's got 4 paddles, which is going to allow you to do every single function on these face buttons with a paddle. Because as you see here, now you'd be using your ring finger. You'd basically have paddles here, and then your ring finger would use these guys, so you'd be able to do all that. I think there's a few commentators. I think Shrapnel is one of the guys who's doing it. He's got the animal, so you might want to go check out his review. He might talk a little bit more in depth about that part, but for me, I just went with the 2 paddles. It's more than enough for me to get the job done. So, and I'll say this, when I first started using this thing, I really didn't feel like there was that much of a curve. I didn't feel like, I got to learn this new controller. I got to get used to it. I started using it, and it was just like, boom, I played around with the control freaks, but there wasn't a lot of tweaking really going on. But I will say this, one thing that you should experiment with in conjunction with your controllers, your sensitivity. Those 2 things are going to work together to get your reflexes into the controller and then onto the screen. So play around with your sensitivity too. Don't forget that's a big part of it. But I'm going to say I highly recommend this thing, okay? Take another look at it. It's really badass. I love it. Oh, you know what? There's another thing. When you get one of these controllers, they're going to send you this really cool travel case. I don't really go anywhere, but if you go and game at your friend's house or stuff like that, or you need to take your Xbox on vacation and you want to take your stuff, you get this cool little carrying case that comes with it. It's really cool sort of thing. So you're gonna get that. You're gonna get the Allen wrench so that you can adjust your trigger stops. Awesome product. I highly recommend it, guys. I wouldn't tell you otherwise if I didn't believe in this thing, but it really is a great controller. So check it out, scufgaming.com, and I'm using this thing going forward. So that's it for me. I hope you guys got something out of this review, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Later.